Hello, I'm Chris, the Dungeon Master.
I'm Adam, the non-dungeon master.
Oh, Maddy, also not a dungeon master. And Chris, stop making a weird face at me when you say that.
I don't know where to look. You're across the table. It's only polite to make eye contact.
I'm Jordan, also not a dungeon master.
Not pictured is Ulises, who is definitely not a dungeon master.
None of us are pictured either.
This is all audio.
All right, shall we get started with the setup for our characters for the Mega Dungeon campaign? Where do we want to start with this? Well, I think everybody has some sort of idea of who they are. So I think we can probably just start with somebody just doing a quick introduction of yourself. Don't go too deep.
Sure.
Yeah.
I won't start because I haven't thought of a name yet.
Okay.
But it'll get there.
Oh, character introductions, not like who we are as people.
I mean, who your
I don't
characters
care about who we are as people.
Maddy, start with your boy.
Okay. Oh, my good boy. His name is August Partridge. He is on his way to becoming a wizard. I guess he's graduated from wizard school and is making his way out into the world, and no one in his family really thinks he can do it, but he's gonna prove him wrong. Just a good farm town boy trying to make people think he's not a good farm town boy.
This is Sarah, last name TBD. She is a cleric of Cord, and her family did the thing of, like, they worship Cord, and then, like, he came down as an avatar, and the avatar of Cord and Sarah just, like, really hit it off. So they've been dating on and off for, like, a while, and even though we're definitely off right now, he won't leave me alone. So
Cord is a weather god, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Zeus, who famously visited someone as a golden shower. What is up with that?
Why are you like this?
Adam, no kink shaming, please.
I'm not kink shaming. I'm kink exploring.
Oh my.
And finally, my character, their name is not determined. For now, it is Patti LuPone. They are a furbolg barbarian. They just want to be friends with everybody. They eventually will take into the ancestral guardian archetype, and this will allow them to summon the spirit guardians of all their dead friends.
Ooh, happy.
Yeah.
Ulises will be playing Goliath, we're pretty sure, Bard, who is all about cooking. He's going to be into carving up monsters and making stuff out of their flesh. He's going to be a bard who's just going to, I think, inspire people with his cooking. I think is part of it. But also we have a cooking system in place that we're going to be using.
And the name is going to be Sirad.
Oh, yeah.
It is his going. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's his going name.
Yes.
Yeah, going first name.
Sirad Ish.
All right, so this is not. So the setting for this campaign is based on the webcomic Marblegate, which the premise is basically that a door shows up somewhere, and this door leads into some theoretically infinite, just massive dungeon full of traps and monsters and loot and treasure. And we don't really know why it's there or why there are so many pieces of loot just sort of waiting to be plundered and explored. But when it appears, people will gather around and sort of start a town as this door exists for, anywhere between a year to 50 years. And adventurers will set off into the dungeon to retrieve magic items and gold and treasure and glory, and sort of rise up in the ranks of the fame and the town surrounding it. So that's the general premise of what's going on. I've mentioned this to the players before, but part of this, we're never going to find out why the dungeon exists. This is not going to be a campaign about figuring out why it's here, who runs the place, why there's so much loot or something. We are accepting that this door has appeared, and our adventurers are going to be partying up and heading into here for one reason or another. And we're going to focus more on just what happens inside there. The setting of this is our own campaign setting called Earth, which is a flat world at one side of the universe. We have played a few campaigns here before, so I guess to start this all off, I want to ask everybody where the door shows up. We know of some places, like we know the biggest city in the world, Rajik, a very fantasy future, Final Fantasy-esque metropolis over in the east, or it could be in the wilderness of the Dark Continent in the west. Or I'm not too concerned about where on this map of Earth, because we're way more familiar with it than anyone else ever will be. But
Can I say where it won't show up?
Sure.
In medieval European setting. This will not appear in in Northern Europe. Anywhere where J.R. Tolkien would write a fantasy setting, I don't want it to be there.
Well, yeah, this is Earth.
I don't know how many rolling plains and temperate forests there are. But
Well, I mean, outside Rajik, there are some nice plains.
And deserts.
There's also a desert to the east, but that's off to the east. But yeah, I don't know if we want this. I think I don't want it to show up inside, the middle of a metropolis. I think because a town is gathering around it. It needs to be somewhere
Some boom towns.
off the beaten path a little bit. But are we looking for, a forest? Or
this is a freestanding door. It's not laid into
Correct,
anything.
it is a freestanding door.
I mean, I always figured it was on the Dark Continent or the North Continent.
Yeah. I was thinking Western North.
So if it's in the the Dark Continent, there's a lot of option for, sort of biome. If it's in the north in Cave Astoris, it is. In the south, it will be. I don't know. I don't think we've really explored the south, but the north definitely gets into
Christopher,
tundra.
I need to know where Wizard School is.
The biggest wizard school in the world is in Cave Astoris. It is the High College of Cave Astoris.
Could I have gotten into that college, is my second question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Could you say that fantasy name again, but slower?
Cave Astoris.
K-Bass.
Droris.
Oh, there's an R in there.
Cave Astoris.
Okay.
Can I spell it? No.
Not that it's important to my character at all.
So what do we think?
Domination.
Where does it show up?
A swamp is an idea,
Of course.
or a jungle, or a really nice place. Like imagine if this is a coastal town, beaches,
lovely.
palm trees, exactly,
That
super
sounds
lovely.
And then a terrible dungeon inside.
Yeah. And there's a door with a
A door
dungeon.
full of nightmares.
Just a lovely seaside town and then a door full of screens.
Yeah. Or the opposite, a town that's maybe in
Full of
a
screens.
rough land.
Oh,
And the door that leads to the seaside?
or because a coastal town is going to be a resort. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a resort or something.
Oh, good lord.
But the
I can't
opposite
do
would be
that.
a town whose
A vacation
income.
spot?
Yeah.
The people built resorts around come visit the mega dungeon.
Well, yeah, because idea number one, that was saying it's in a coastal area. People would just be visiting this coastal area because it's a beautiful place. But the flip idea of that would be a town that is built around this mega dungeon because people will try visiting the mega dungeon. So the town's economy is based off of adventurers who are
Yeah.
touristing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because
I feel like resort is not the word for that.
right, but it's not resort, but it is the adventurers are coming. Apples cost 1 gold now instead of
Yeah.
1 copper.
Especially because what adventurer who has any gold is going to blink an eye when you say that's 1 gold instead of the 1 copper it absolutely should be.
Also, what adventurer knows how to convert gold to
Absolutely
copper?
none.
Not super difficult.
Okay.
I don't know.
But
how.
I've been playing since a couple years now, and I still don't want to do it.
I mean, I know it's a
Time.
factor of 100.
I'll give him a
but,
silver or a gold.
Exactly
I
a
don't know.
factor of 100.
Patty LuPone's intelligence is an 8, so that's a
so
minus
rude.
1.
Fair play.
That's a
Fair
rude thing
play.
to say.
Okay, so I think what we're leaning towards here is a town on the beach, probably of the continent that Rajik is on, that remains unnamed. To the southwest or so of Rajik, into the
Oh, I
bay.
thought. Okay. I mean, you know better than I do. I just figured it was
In the continents
More-
we don't hang out in.
No, I just figured if it's on that continent, then more the northwest tip of that continent.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we've been there, so let's
Chilling.
But we also haven't been to around Copperhold. We just know it's there.
And is it still on the eastern continent?
yes, the
Okay.
eastern continent.
We
we're
can't
on.
go to the western continent.
You're not allowed back there? Or?
So let's say the like northwest corner of the eastern continent, which is to say that the door showed up in an area close to the beach, at the edge of like amber plains meet the beach, nice rolling hills, and generally a very luxurious landscape.
Okay.
This area was once ruled over by orcs, much less so now. And I don't think there are too many towns nearby, but it's about an equal journey, both from the high college of Cave Astoris, which is the probably the second biggest or third biggest city in the world, and from Rajik, which is like the biggest city in the world. So with that out of the way, I want to know what kind of places this has shown up in. So this door has been around at this point for 2 years. Everybody has, or not everybody, there are enough people who have like come and like built up a town around it. There are stores and inns, and everything is pointed towards adventurers. They're towards equipping adventurers to go in. There is some sort of, I don't want to say agency because it's not that organized, but like some sort of protection for adventurers going in to make sure to help them like build up a party and to make sure that they're prepared for going in. And
Life insurance, like back when airplanes were new and you could buy life insurance like when you buy your airplane ticket.
Yep, like that sort of thing.
Expensive insurance.
It was like $5, man.
So I think the next question, another one about this world, is what kind of door is it? Like, what does it look like? What is it like? In Marblegate, it's this big marble, like, just
Gate.
door.
Like a stone, not a toy.
Yeah, no, it's a pile of marbles, and you just dig through it, and you just keep going, and eventually you're falling through darkness into the dungeon.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, what kind of door is this? What kind of entryway?
Legend of Zelda has like 3 different main worlds usually. Is like in Legend of Zelda, you always have the plant world, the mountain world, and the water world.
Right.
Is the Mega Dungeon going to have something similar where there are going to be unique zones? And if so, could we have like the door being made out of like a Stonehenge with one, each line of it made out of something that represents one of the zones?
Right. I think in your adventure you're going to come across some zones, but the dungeon is bigger than what you're going to encounter. So I like the idea. I don't think I can necessarily make it one for each thing that you'll encounter because it's
So
like I said,
many things.
theoretically infinite.
Yeah.
Adventurers go in and they come back out describing totally different scenarios, but frequently describing like the same villain or the same maybe like an ancient dragon has shown up in multiple people's stories and stuff.
So is the idea that like if you open the door, you might not open the door into the same location that somebody before you did?
Exactly, but
Okay.
sometimes you do.
Okay.
Yep, that's
Spooky.
I like the idea of like a very nondescript, like regular looking door. Just like on the beach with like nothing around it. Just hanging
like
out.
Monsters Inc. style.
Yeah, very Monsters Inc. style.
I see. I mean, my vision is the opposite of that, like super ornate, and it's like, for whatever reason, I see a stone archway where like the stone arches have like stone snakes spiraling around them.
Ooh,
I don't know why snakes.
okay. So
I like that.
So can we kind of combine
Merge
these? Yeah,
all
we're going
three of these.
to create a terrible.
A nondescript
just-
yet ornate door that looks like Stonehenge.
Well,
It's an amalgamation of pain.
It's a regular wooden door,
Okay.
made expertly, but plainly, with a stone frame that it is set into, with the snakes wrapping around it, and each stone, like each brick put together into this frame, looks like it is made from a different stone. Mostly, it looks like from different sort of generic kinds of stones. Like there's like a sandstone and a granite stone and everything. But every once in a while, they have like little flecks of colored crystal in them, or something else to inspire, different, more magical, exotic kind of settings.
Bone.
Fuck.
Is that an offer?
Like a dragon bone brick.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
Yes.
dragon bone brick, or maybe one has is like ice, even though it's out on the beach and
Invisible.
Why doesn't it
That's
melt?
yeah, exactly. That's that's what this first arc is about. All right, and then the last thing before we start talking about more specific aspects is that there is a town that is built around this, not necessarily exactly around the door. I like it being on the beach, and so the town is like a little ways set back. But they're like, I think the most important thing, also taken from Marblegate, is that there is an organization to help create parties, to help gather allies to go adventure with, as well as groups that are there to help you, like equip yourself and to take you, like to walk with your group to the door, like that sort of thing. So I guess my question is, do you all think that in this world there would be a way that they mark people before they head out in as adventurers? Do you think that they would, give them like a tattoo, or maybe
A
like a
magical
slip of
hand
paper,
stamp.
or like a plastic sheriff's badge or something that shows that they are like adventurers, like heading into there? Or do you think that's not really necessary? Or
I think that'd be good if it was something that like stayed on magically or like tied onto things. Would definitely be a way to like identify bodies you run across in the dungeon of like, oh, this was an adventurer we should maybe bring back, or like we knew
dog
them.
tags.
Yeah, dog
Yeah,
tags,
dog
yeah.
tags.
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. Something that you can, like, if you come across another dead adventure,
Yeah,
you bring
you can
back the
see.
dog tags.
Yeah, like their name and any like
The
short
racing class.
instructions.
Yeah.
But like any short instructions of like where to send their stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a good idea too, because it'll give closure to other people. And maybe there's a small bounty, like a 5 gold bounty for turning him in, just because it's a nice, like, it's for the families kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that, what is the thing? How do people get marked? What is this magical dog tag?
I mean, regular dog tags
Yeah.
could just
Or
work. Yeah.
regular dog
Yeah.
tags, yeah.
Maybe like carved in a seashell or something because it's a beach. But like I think dog tags more than like a magical mark or a tattoo.
Probably
Is-
magically engraved, but like
Yeah.
yeah.
And can only be removed like once you die.
I like
or
the
by
idea
your
of
will or
seashells.
something. Yeah.
Like carved on seashell.
This-
I don't What?
I was just gonna. You like the idea? I mean, yeah, they're
Just
pretty nice.
conceptually.
Yeah,
Gotta keep them clowns safe.
I mean, they're pretty like seashells as a concept is pretty magical. Like
Yeah.
that there are these things that you like trinkets that you can pick up only on beaches because beings,
Oh,
so
I thought
far
you-
away.
I thought you meant like the magic of exoskeletons.
I mean that too. Like
Yeah,
being so
yeah.
far away, like construct these things, and other things pick them up and live in them. Then we pick them up and make necklaces out of them. Like, anyway, that aside.
Yeah. So magical seashell dog tags.
Okay. So the magical aspect is referencing how they are like magically engraved.
Magically
Yeah.
engraved, and I don't know if it'd be easy, but like magically like tied to a person or something, like just that they're like hard to lose.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of spell of they're hard to lose.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that like if you take them and like throw them into a volcano, they're gone. But like
Yeah. You
if-
misplace it in a restaurant, like it's not gone forever.
yeah,
You have to
or-
like take an action to lose these things.
Yeah.
Like you can't just misplace them. Or even honestly getting like torn off is like I'm a little
Taken
iffy
away.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you like you're turned upside down and like held by your foot and like somebody shakes you, like your jacket might come off, but this thing won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like that idea of it's not impossible to lose, but it is hard to lose. And like you leave it at a restaurant, and as you're walking away, you're like, "Oh my god, did I forget my necklace?" And as you pat your chest, you're like, "Oh no, there it is. We're fine."
Alternatively, as you're walking away, the waitress comes running. Wait, no, you forgot these.
Yeah.
And they don't know why they did it.
Yeah, it just magically compels other people to return them to you.
That's a lot spookier. That's kind of like Final Destination, and that kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, even better if you can like prank someone. Like, oh hey, I heard you really like apple cores,
Mhm.
and you enchant this so that it always shows up around them.
Oh.
And like
okay.
people
That
are like
isn't
come running like, wait,
okay.
you forgot this, and hand them an apple core. And they're like, no, I didn't forget this.
It does sound like the beginning of a no sleep story.
Yeah, that sounds like a really compelling.
Yeah, I was like, does it really though?
I mean, I didn't say no sleep stories are good.
Very rarely.
All right. So all that out of the way, so we know that this is the door shows up on the beach in the northwest of the eastern continent. A town has built up around it. And they help guide people, and they give them these magic seashell dog tags. And this door is this plain door set in a stone, very magical looking stone door frame. So
What kind of handle?
it's like a metal one, like an iron, like
Twisty circle knob.
oh no,
Like
the
pulling in?
lever action.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Lever action.
I'm like not like a twisty circle knob, but like the same concept, but like with a longer.
Toilet.
Yeah, like a toilet thing.
Toilet flushing. What are our names again?
Oh, Sarah.
August Partridge.
Patti LuPone and Sirad Ish. No, actually, okay, so I opened up Volas guide, which is where the furbolgs are, and it says something about furbolg names. They adopt elven names when they must deal with outsiders, although the concept of names strike them as strange. They know the names of the animals and the plants of the forest without formal names, and instead identify the forest children by their deeds, habits, and other actions. Tribal names simply refer to their homes, and a lot of times they will get nicknames based on like things about themselves. So like yeah, if that and if you guys feel inspired when I'm talking about my character later on to give them a name, feel free to do so. Like Loud One or something.
I feel like they would have to have some understanding of this is how the names work, though.
I feel also like the furbolgs would probably nickname Patti LuPone as something like obnoxious,
Maybe
shouty
Patti
person.
LuPone.
Yeah, or Patti LuPone, who is
your
famous.
obnoxious nickname.
Yeah, who is famous for her obnoxious
Oh
yelling.
my god.
So with this, let's transition into the other part of this session, which is talking about people individually. Essentially, we're going to be using the series of questions based on a post somebody shared on, I think, D&D Behind the Screen subreddit, which are a series of questions just to establish some more things about each of the characters and about the world, and hopefully connect some things together. And most importantly, give me as the DM lots of stuff to work with, so I'm not just having characters randomly show up, that these are characters that people have relationships with. So I think we may all know these, but I'll repeat them. The questions are, what does your character hate? What does your character want? What are they afraid of? What drives them? What gives them hope? And what do they love? And then it is those same questions again, except with who instead. So who do you love? Who gives them hope? Who drives them? Who are they afraid of? Who do they want? And who do they hate? I think that's the interesting thing about these questions, is that they can, the ones that you can easily answer are kind of just as interesting as the ones that are hard to answer, because you realize that some aspect of your character was really incomplete or missing. Like lots of the time, I think the home life is the aspect that is hard to come up with. It's, who do they love when the rest of their character is defined by their fear of something or something like that. But there is some character back home that may never show up in the adventure that they care deeply about. I like that a lot. I believe in that a lot when it comes to creating characters or anything really. Pushing yourself to answer the hard questions. Earlier, Maddy was saying that when she makes wizards, they're human, and I think that's good. And that's fine, of course, but it's also interesting, too, if you realize that you always play human wizards, to push and be like, what does it mean if I am a halfling? Because nobody wants to play halfling. With that, like we can sort of jump around to people. I'm not expecting one person to answer all these or anything.
Excellent. So I cannot remember the order no matter how many times you tell me.
But the other side of this is that I want to start asking these questions, or I guess answering these questions of why you all are a team, because you are all going to be a team already. Like the degree to which is up to you, but I don't want any, I don't think anybody here is playing an edgy character, but I don't want any of the, I'm not going to be a team player. You are already a team. And and why you're heading into the dungeon. I have established before that the dungeon is infinite and kind of random, but it also is consistent in weird ways. So it is perfectly valid to say that you were going in there to like rescue your father's ring that your father left in there last year or something like that. Like it is perfectly reasonable to have an expectation like that because the dungeon tends to make things like that work out. Yeah, like what? Why are you together? What are you going? Why do you want to go into this dungeon? And all these other questions. Anybody have anything that they want to share? So talking about, we can, like I said before, jump around, and I'm not super interested in doing like all of one person's or all of one category and talk about it. This is our time to think a little bit more about our characters. Want to be careful that we aren't having character development or progression here. Just the like figuring out who the character is and what's going on. If anybody has anything that they want to.
I think I have an answer for all but one.
Oh wow! Okay.
August is a simple boy.
Okay. Do you want to share one?
Oh, geez. Okay, so, I think, the phrasing for these is like, what gives them hope. So what gives August hope is, knowledge in the way of like learning about things and connecting to the universe, which is also the thing that he loves. He loves to learn and feel like he's a part of something. And the act of learning and the fact that you will never be done learning is what gives him hope.
Fucking nerd.
Absolutely.
So was that the love in there too?
Yeah, the love and the hope are kind of in the same vein, in that the thing he loves is the thing that gives him hope.
So that's interesting because I feel like he's like you say like knowing that he's part of the universe,
Yeah.
which I feel like is a very like kind of cleric or paladin thing.
Yeah.
You say like I'm part of something bigger, but this
But
is
for
like
books.
a very like that's a very like down to earth like very
Yeah.
I don't know like I don't know what that word is like sophisticated like I'm okay with being a part of this.
He's a simple boy
Yeah.
with simple pleasures.
And that connects really well to something that I don't think we've talked about yet, which is that August is an artificer.
Yes, August is an artificer.
Artificer person.
He is learning how to connect different things together with magic and energy.
Right. So artificery, which we also have a system for in this world, and we'll hear more about in the future, is a series of runes that you use to basically move energy around. It's similar to I tried to draw a lot of parallels to like language, where you have subjects and verbs. The subject rune takes energy from something. So I think, for example, let me hop on over to my artificery page right here. There is the source subject, which takes just ambient heat and it absorbs it from the environment and puts it in these magical runes, which are connected through a bunch of we kind of hand wave them away articles is what we call them, which are this careful balance of many little runes that you have to draw out painstakingly, like take forever to draw these things out. To connect that source that absorbs the magic and passes it along the articles to the verb. So, for example, there is the flame verb, which in the center of the rune will create a little flame. So you can use things like you can put the source subject inside a fire and have like a piece of like thick leather with these articles written in it or like etched into it. To a flame verb, and it will take energy from the fire to produce a little flame. It costs a little bit of energy, like there's friction in the system to get there, but it's the general thing. We'll be seeing a lot more of that. August knows lots of like pretty low power runes.
The basics.
Essentially, August can be kind of a handyman, honestly. Like help make like ovens and like fridges. Those are the sorts of things that are made with artificery. You don't need to be a spellcaster to do it. You just need to know like the runes and shapes, but it takes a long time. And there is a sort of intuition about putting articles together that somebody can't just necessarily copy pieces of somebody else's. That's something we'll see a lot of right now. And whenever you're making an artificial check, Maddy,
Yes.
it's going to be take your proficiency in the artificer's tools,
Okay.
which is a toolkit that you should have,
Cool.
regardless of whether it said that you have them. Like I'm telling you, you have them.
Cool.
And it was going to add your intelligence,
Ooh,
which
excellent.
is fine for you.
Helpful
so
for being a wizard.
yeah, so if on that sheet, if that is the one we used before, you can like add on one of the lines in your intelligence. Have this like some like there should be like an uplift one. You can add like
Artificery.
yeah, exactly, and have that nice and easy.
Do
easy
I have
access.
proficiency in that?
Yes.
Cool.
And you can add that to your tool proficiencies too if you haven't already put that
Excellent.
there. Part of your background. Ooh, let's talk a lot.
Hell yeah.
Somebody else something we want to share?
Oh, the thing that Sarah loves is the feeling you get when you watch a ship take her maiden voyage out of harbor, and you're like, I made that sail. I did that. I contributed.
Okay. Very, very crafting oriented.
Got some crafty helpers here.
What god do they worship again?
Cord. Cord.
Wait, Cord, and if you move to sea, Moradin, the god of crafting, who all of Jordan's other characters have worshipped.
Jordan is a crafty person.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Jordan's a
anything
crafty
wrong
boy.
with that. He's a crafty boy. He'll pull all sorts of pranks on you. So I think this is also leading into something that we haven't talked about Sarah, which is that she's a tailor.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything?
Mostly shipbuilding or like sailcloth stuff. Yeah, like she knows how to sew clothes and stuff too, but like her weapon is mechanically a spear. In world, it is a giant sailcloth needle. Because that's just what she has. She's used to the weight of it.
All right. Yeah. So I like that. That's very like. I think there's a theme here of everybody has a crafting discipline that they follow. Some of them are like the artificery, like I mentioned, is a whole system. Same with cooking for Ulises' character, Sirad. But the tailoring won't be as much that as just Sarah will have the opportunity to cook stuff, to sew stuff
clothes.
together at times. And that may be important.
Cooking clothes, as you do.
And I wanted to go last so I could think of a name, but I still haven't thought of a good name for Patti LuPone. Patti LuPone, they were a part of a furbolg. All furbolgs, at least in Volas, are a druidic people who are very in touch with nature, and they're very pacifistic. They kind of sit back and let things happen. They'll fiercely defend a forest, but they don't like to really cause a ruckus. And Patti LuPone is a loud person who wants to befriend everyone and get close to everyone. And because of this, the other furbolg are kind of like, this is really uncomfortable. Like we all like having big safety circles, personal bubbles. What's the term?
Personal space.
Personal space. Yeah. And they're not really big huggers, but Patti LuPone is a hugger. And so they kind of said like, you should go, I heard there's a mega dungeon, you should go check that out. And Patti LuPone was like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll do that. And, there was only one person in the village of Furbolgs who was like close to Patti LuPone, and that was, my brother. Because Furbolgs, again, don't really have, like, names, my brother is just the name of Patti LuPone's brother. So, my brother was the only person who wasn't really accepting of Patti LuPone, but was close to accepting them, and maybe at one point would have in the future if the whole town hadn't, kind of said, hey, you should leave now. And so the who that Patti LuPone hopes for is that my brother will eventually love and accept them, even though they know that this is basically impossible because they do not expect to ever return to the Furbolg village ever again.
Wow.
Jeez.
Okay.
I was gonna make a cute joke about how furbolgs don't like to make a ruckus, and Patti appears to be a ruckus.
Ruckus! That is a great name!
Oh no!
Thank Thank you, Maddy. Patti LuPone's name is Ruckus.
Oh,
Oh, Ruckus. Oh, that is
Thank
a great name.
oh, no, I don't feel bad about making a joke after that real sad backstory.
Ruckus. Yeah.
Okay.
I can stop calling them Patti LuPone.
Well, all right. Patti LuPone is long, but just calling your furbolg Patty is not that bad.
No, but it was Patti LuPone. Like, the
But it was
placeholder
Patti
name-
LuPone.
It was not Patty, it was Patti LuPone.
Okay.
It's one,
Ruckus
yeah.
is a good name.
Ruckus
I like
is a good
Ruckus.
name, yeah.
It's cute.
So Ruckus, to make my brother love and respect Ruckus, that would take Ruckus basically calming down a lot and I imagine showing some more respect for the environment or something like that.
Oh, Ruckus fully respects the
Okay.
environment. It's really like, Ruckus lives, that's the thing. Furbolgs, they hate you if you're against the environment, but they just don't like you if you're, loud and obnoxious. And Ruckus, was a good Furbolg, except for the fact that they, were very kind of in your face in a friendly way, but still in a way where it's like if you walked into,
It's very extra.
yeah, if you walked into, a room with a bunch of like CSE majors and you were like a theater major and you were just
Wow.
trying to befriend everyone and get in their face and be like, hey, let me advertise this deodorant to you. Like, they would not be happy. And the same way the furbolgs are just kind of like, hey, you are very much, and we are not a fan of that.
Can you tell how recently everyone at this table has been in college?
Adam, you are taking some shots.
Um,
Just really slinging them out there.
Yeah, it was brutal.
sorry to all CS majors. They know what they did.
So,
But Ruckus would not change themselves. Like, it's not an issue of, Ruckus knows that they're a fine person and there's nothing wrong with being, loud. And they have already accepted. This isn't going to be a journey of learning that it's okay to be yourself, because they already know that it's okay to be
It's other
themselves.
people, probably.
Yeah, where this is about, my
Teaching
brother,
everybody
yeah,
else.
my brother needs to accept me for who I am, and that's what's important.
okay.
Yay.
And yeah.
Wait, so your brother left town too?
No,
Or-
my brother
oh.
still lives in the Furbolg village, which is why Ruckus will probably never see him.
Oh man.
But you
Yes.
can hope for things that aren't possible.
Oh boy.
Me,
That
very
is a
much.
concept.
No!
So, rounding out the crafting discipline, our fourth and final crafting discipline here is herbalism.
Herbalism.
I knew you were
Are
going
you
to
a
say something
Brit?
as soon as
We all were.
Herbalism.
Yeah, and because
Furbolg.
Ruckus is a Furbolg, then Ruckus is very into herbs
makes
and
a lot of
nature.
sense. So, as at my table, herbalism is a lot about just like identification of plants. Plants are also going to be another big part of this dungeon. We're going to see lots of wild plants with different effects. Herbalism is about taking care of them and identifying them. And I think the most involved that it gets in terms of crafting is if there is some sort of, I don't want to say potion, that's too strong, but like a poultice.
Yeah.
Or something like that, or like some goop to smear on people's foreheads while they sleep to protect them from bad dreams or something like that, is what herbalism will let you do. And so, same thing for both of you, actually. I don't think much of this. Jordan, so Sarah has a tailor's kit, regardless of whether the player's handbook said you have one. You have one, you have proficiency with it, and you can add it to the player, your sheet there under a line under I was thinking dexterity, but do you have like another like what
Please don't make it dexterity.
We all low decks.
I mean what attribute do you think Sarah sews with?
I think in real life people sew with dexterity.
Okay. So yeah.
Um, Yeah, I mean,
Is it strength because you're sewing sails?
Or charisma, because it's real flamboyant. If you want to like make real very
you're not
colorful
putting on a
clothes.
performance or
No,
anything.
no, but like if you're making something like fashionable and like if you're doing it with like an eye for design,
I
it'd be,
think
like,
that would
charisma
be in the
wisdom.
vein of wisdom.
True.
Because you can make an argument for wisdom or intelligence of
Mhm.
like, I understand fabric, I know like where you need to put stitches.
Yeah.
But I think genuinely to be good at sewing, you have to have good hands.
Okay, so it would be a dexterity thing. You can add your dexterity and proficiency bonus to that. If you're ever making a tailoring check, you can use that value there. You can always have that ready.
Something to interject is that any profession in the old Pathfinder rules, any profession went under wisdom. Because so like you didn't need to be like super strong as long as like wisdom was also a measure of your experience, like your life experience. So like any kind of like being a lawyer took wisdom, and being a tailor, a leather worker, it all took wisdom. So yeah,
I think it's fine if you want to make it wisdom, but if you
I don't really want to. It just feels appropriate.
okay. And then for Ruckus, Adam, you can put herbalism under wisdom. You also have an herbalism kit, regardless of what your player's handbook says. You have proficiency with it, in addition to any proficiencies you took when making your character. And you can just add it there or something, just so you always have this, and you don't have to ask me, what do I do when I'm making an herbalism check? Cool.
you want to know what I do?
What?
I add my proficiency bonus because I have a +0 to wisdom.
Yep.
But that's better than -1, like to my intelligence and dexterity.
Your intelligence and dexterity?
Yep.
Okay.
But I got a +3 to strength and +2 to con and charisma.
Okay, yeah. So let's continue on with somebody else's answer to your question.
Sarah hopes that today won't be as shitty as yesterday was.
Oh boy.
Wow!
We are a bunch of happy people.
Because one of the things that drives her is to be better than you were yesterday, so she's like super duper critical. On her self-critical, that's the word.
Wow, like someone else we know.
All my D&D characters are a cry for help.
Jeez.
This is me trying to be positive, guys.
Play what you know.
It's okay. Every villain is going to be either an elemental or a construct. Just because I love them so much, I just want robots and plant people and fire people. Does that come from like teachings of Cord, or just as a child, or just
just from so like most gods, especially in Dungeons and Dragons, pantheons get like complicated, and domains like are kind of weird, and like people step on each other's toes. So Cord is, as the rules are written, the god of storms and wrestling. Because sure, I guess.
and oil and mud. It's this weird combination of things.
Yeah. But like the storm aspect, because Sarah's from one of the seaside towns like further down the coast. So like as a seaside town, it's like, hey, if we worship Cord, like maybe we can go sailing and like not sink. So like she grew up, like her parents are clergy people. So it's like she didn't grow up in the temple, but like religion is like an important aspect of everyone's lives around there, but in a kind of passive way. So like for her, it's like, I'm trying to make boats. I'm trying to make boats that like don't sink. But you know, Cord's kind of a dick. So boats sink a lot. And then it's like, all right, well, that was my fault. I have to like make a better sail so that it doesn't sink this time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's also like, she also is, yeah, I guess it does count as an irrational fear of getting old and like frail and losing independence. So it all kind of like rolls around together into this anxiety of, like, because the what that she hates is being trapped, like metaphorically and like physically like restrained. So yeah, it all kind of rolls together of like hoping that today won't be as shitty as yesterday was, but have a fear of losing independence and hate being trapped, and the drive of being better than you were yesterday and wanting to feel confident in your own ability. And then the love of watching like a nice ship like not sink.
Right. I like this. I like that. I think from both Ruckus and Sarah, we're seeing that these characters are not going to have a coming of age. Like, that's not what this is about. They aren't going here to find themselves. Like, they know who they are, and they're coming for some other reason, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But I like that a lot. I feel like there's a lot of coming of age stories out there, and they're kind of easy to do and kind of lazy, because a lot of the times it goes from this perspective of...
Because everyone ages.
Yeah.
Everyone's done it.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it comes from this perspective of, I am a flawed person, and now I have grown up and I am no longer flawed, which I think everybody knows is just not true. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, you be you.
All right, so yeah, it's a lot more about Sarah. I like how we're kind of, I like what it says about the characters, that for both Sarah and August we started with what, and for Ruckus we started with who. I think it says a little bit about what they know about themselves, what they think of first.
Ouch.
It's just a general sort of thing. I'm not saying that they hate people. They don't really love these people. Yeah, somebody else want to?
I mean, I got more.
Yeah, me too.
The who that drives Sarah is Janice. She lives down the street. She's a rival tailor. She makes like really pretty dresses. It's kind of obnoxious.
So is Janice someone who... So since we're going to this new town where the dungeon is Janice someone that would show up in this town? Or, like, are they just, like, they're just at home with his tailors? Or are they, like, as soon as Sarah packs up and heads off to go on an adventure, Janice is like, oh, I gotta do it now.
I mean, she might. She just kind of does that and tries to upstage me all the time.
Okay.
Janice has already been there for 2 days, but that's happening.
She's already there, she has a shop, and
Yeah,
she's gone into
exactly.
the dungeon twice.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, that'd be so... Can you imagine how annoying that would be? Like, you're always... Whenever you're walking to the dungeon, Janice is coming out with, like, a huge, like, roll of fabric or something, like magic fabric.
Oh, Sarah, you're just showing up?
I'm sure Janice is gonna be like the nicest person. If we're getting into that territory, for hate, August wouldn't like to use the word hate. I think the what that August would hate is actions that are like mean-spirited and hurtful because he just can't wrap his sweet little boy brain around it. But the one thing that August would never admit is that there is in fact a person that he hates, and that is his wizard college rival, Emerald Zelotient, which is the most pretentious name I could possibly think of. Who is an elven boy. They've been in the same year at Wizard College. Emerald was, brought up in, like, a very magical family, and they're super rich, and, like, August is a good farm boy from a family where, like, one person does magic. So they've just always been at odds, and Emerald's, like, not the most, like, mean-spirited, but he's, like, very snobby and very privileged, and August would never admit that he hates him, but, like, ooh, the blood pressure goes up.
What's the last name again?
Zelotient, Xiloscient. It's both of those names are in the player's handbook. I found them under elven names, male elven names, and family names.
Emerald Zelotient.
Just the most pretentious name I could think of.
And so when it comes to studying at a wizard college, it is one of those things where you can kind of study there forever. There isn't this whole undergraduate, graduate program.
Yeah.
You just sort of pay for as long as you're going to study there for, and you can end up being the TA and working in a lab and studying new spells and all that forever.
Somebody's postdoc forever.
Yeah.
Do you think wizard teachers are they're not actually teachers, but the way that they pay to go to school is by teaching because they're so experienced, and that allows them to. So it's UCSD.
Basically, it is the university system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, at any point in time, you can say, okay, I know 2 cantrips that I'm dipping out.
Yeah.
So is Emerald when it comes to that sort of thing? August clearly left.
Yes.
Maybe so another thing that can happen is that magic items are important to wizards because they tend to have magic that is not like an immovable rod. There is no spell that is like make immovable.
Yeah.
So they are really important for studying and for like wizards make these items and stuff. So like going out and retrieving those is also something that can happen while you're still like attending school, like working for the school. So like what are August and Emerald's like opinions on that?
I think August has definitely like taken leave from school in that like he's not sure if he's going to go back or not. But his grandfather was definitely like a professor. So I would say he's like kind of doing like if he finds anything really great, his plan will probably be to like bring it back to his grandfather and like try to get, you know, like a good lab position kind of thing. But he doesn't he enjoyed the experience of being part of academia. But he realized midway through that a lot of the academics there were not as like him as he hoped, and that he sort of felt a little stifled by the academic environment. Growing up where, you know, he was not the biggest explorer of the family, but it turned out he was more of an explorer than some of the other people he was going to school with. And I think Emerald was definitely somebody who probably will go back to the College of Wizardry several times, but will also definitely go out and try to make as big a name for himself as he possibly can.
There's got to be a pretty good number of people who go to the college, study some stuff, and then just get so fed up with the way they do things. And just are like, I'm just going to go do this myself.
Absolutely.
And leave. And maybe end up going back.
He's not very respectful to teachers. He's not very respectful to people in general.
Yeah, and I also like this information that we're getting about August, how August also, I think is the one who's most likely to have a coming-of-age story.
Yeah, he's like in his very early 20s.
But there is a little bit here of, he's already sort of had that. Like he's already realized college is not for me. Like he's started to like have this, like he said that first step. He has that introduction.
Yeah.
And the event that makes him realize I'm not totally happy, and we're skipping ahead a little bit.
Doesn't know totally who he is, but he's got a good start.
Okay. Another question?
For the who and the love for Ruckus. Most of Ruckus's whats are just kind of generic things that, you know, I talked about. Like, you know, they want to just, they love people. They want to, you know, surround themselves with friends and stuff. But the Ruckus's first love, after they had been kind of kicked out of the furbolg community, they were, you know, traveling in the foresty mountains area, and they came across a Goliath town. And because Goliaths, they live in the mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
They live in, you know, like towns in the mountains. And Ruckus fell in love with a Goliath named Big Ol' Chungus, which is the nickname, not the birth name. Goliaths, as I was looking at Volas, Goliaths, they have like nicknames that they tell outsiders, and they have like personal names that they don't tell anyone. Ruckus does know Big Ol' Chungus's personal birth name, but they will refer to Big Ol' Chungus as Big Ol' Chungus to everyone else.
Because it would be rude.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Chungus is the Goliath word for fingers, by the way.
Oh my
Sure.
God.
Fucking.
Sure it is.
It's actually the Goliath word for everything. Anyway, Big Ol' Chungus was their first love, but they were also the son of the chief, and one of the sons of the chief. And in Goliath culture, in order to decide who's the next chief, the children of the chief have to fight to the death. And the brothers loved each other. They were super cool with each other. They were, they were brothers growing up, but they had to fight to the death because that was the tradition. And so Big Ol' Chungus died in this fight. And the brother, who I haven't come up with a name before, but if you want to like spitball one,
Medium old.
Yep, Medium Ol' Chungus.
Chungus Prime.
Yeah. Medium, Lil Chungus.
Oh gosh.
I didn't say which one's older or younger anyway. But, Brother Chungus did win, and Ruckus got in a fight with Brother Chungus before realizing, like, this isn't what Brother Chungus wanted to do. Like, it's not Brother Chungus's fault, it's tradition's fault. And so, before leaving, Ruckus was like, Brother Chungus, you need to change the tradition because this is wrong. And Brother Chungus was like, yeah, I'll do it for my brother. And then Ruckus left town.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Wow.
Ruckus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is rough.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But that's also Ruckus realized that that the violence, while it is like an immediate response, it isn't always the right response, and that it's you can work things out without having to kill someone over it, even if they've personally harmed someone that you loved very much, who had big old chungus.
So.
Oh my god, the saddest and most edgy backstory comes on the silliest and most positive character.
That's how you do it.
So, is his brother Chungus one of these answers as well? Or is that
No.
not-
Brother Chungus is only part of Big Ol' Chungus's. Brother Chungus, I don't even have a name for them in the Who section.
Yeah.
We spitballed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Woo.
Maybe Brother Chungus is the name.
It could be, yeah, but I feel like
Like if Brother Chungus is the younger one.
Yeah, they're just like,
Brother of Chug.
don't want
Yeah.
to come up with a
Okay,
second name.
Also, is
Second
it
nickname.
Bigol? Because the way you say it, I keep hearing Biggle.
BIGOL apostrophe Chungus.
Okay.
Big Ol' Chungus.
Wow.
It's just sorry, it takes me so long to spell things with my mind, so I just realized what Biggle meant.
Okay.
Biggle. That's not a name. Oh, sorry. I'm done.
Wow.
So the what that Ruckus loves is like people and friends.
Yeah, the what is just besides like a universal just kind of love for everyone, a deep protective love for their friends.
If some people want to throw out some of their I know a lot of these you have like big stories, but if people have
Short
like
answers.
little like short answers, we can throw out a few of those and sort of change up the pace a little bit.
Sarah, a person Sarah is afraid of is Lich Tyrannus.
So would I.
With a name like that.
Where do they know about Lich Tyrannus?
I think books mostly.
Oh, so this is like a historical figure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean they're a lich, so
Yeah.
Okay,
they can
yes.
both be historical
Yeah.
and modern.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like Lich Tyrannus showed up in like.
No.
Okay, so I guess it more represents a bigger concept of being afraid of liches and.
So, much like how Jordan read a Scholastic News article when he was 5 years old about spiders, and it has impacted him deeply, Sarah read a history book about Lich Tyrannus, and it spooked her deeply. And some may say that is the root of her fear of getting old and frail and losing her independence, because she's like, I don't want to be Bones.
Wait, that's why she's afraid of liches? Like she's just afraid of skeletons. Or like a major fear of liches and a minor fear of skeletons?
I mean, she's matured, so
Okay.
it's turned into a fear of being frail.
Okay. Yeah, so all that to say, Lich Tyrannus is probably not going to show up.
God, I
Sorry
hope
if
not.
if that is disappointing or something.
I don't know, maybe.
Anything else?
She wants Cord, because as much of a dick as he is, real good lay.
So she has a sexual relation
Yes.
with her god. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was Cord brought an avatar. Cord came down as an avatar to town one time, and just super duper hit it off.
What form did he take?
A parrot.
Oh god.
Honestly, Turkish oil wrestler. Probably.
Nice.
But yeah, and then for years and years, it was an on again, off again thing. Because Cord won't admit this, but Sarah's the best sex he's ever had. So he just kept coming back for more.
Okay. Yep.
Oh.
But it's a really toxic relationship. You should not be together.
Yeah.
But they want to, because
trying to figure out that
Yeah.
middle ground.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to bring up that in a previous campaign, when faced with a paladin who called himself the champion of Paylord, the discussion topic was that the way that you become the champion of a certain god was that you have sexual relations with them.
You bang him.
That one. Just saying. But I mean, maybe this one, maybe that previous campaign was a much more positive relationship than this one.
The paladin sucks, but like,
All right. Anything else?
For Jordan, any of us.
Anyone, yeah.
if we're doing quick ones, August wants to become a great wizard and use his powers to do good. And the only question I couldn't answer is who he wants, because August hasn't really figured that out yet.
Okay.
Is it August?
Clone is a level 8 spell.
Sorry, Immeril. That's what
Yeah.
I meant to say.
not- As of right now, no. We'll see. we'll see who hits it off well with August.
For Ruckus, Ruckus's fear of what is fear of more of their friends dying, because most of Ruckus's friends have died. And that's kind of like why Ruckus moved somewhere else, is because you go someplace, you meet a close friend, usually an outcast, and then they die and they move somewhere else. And so Ruckus kind of has a constant fear that their friends are going to die. And they also have a fear of not being loved and accepted.
That was the what fear? Sorry.
Yeah, the what fear.
Okay. Yeah, like, is this like a curse, or is this just like a series of coincidences? Like,
Yeah, it's just, Ruckus, if Ruckus finds, people who, like maybe Ruckus goes to a goblin village, and, goblins have a pretty high turnover rate. So, it's not like Ruckus is going into town and befriending, the life insurance salesman who's going to live till he's 80. Yeah.
Okay.
How old are people's characters?
Furbolg don't really measure age, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. How old is Sarah?
I don't really know.
I'm picturing like a middle-aged lady. But that's just what's in my mind right now.
I don't know if she's quite that old. Probably like 30.
Okay. Maybe. August is like,
Between 20 and 22.
okay, yeah.
I think like 20. I think I decided on 22.
Yeah, I think something that, I think we're gonna have to figure out, but I have a feeling I'm gonna want to ignore is a bit of like a motherly feeling from Sarah
I don't
towards.
think Sarah's a motherly
Yeah,
person.
exactly.
I haven't gotten that.
Yeah.
August has a mom. He has several, to be real. He's got like a mom, a bunch of grandmas, some aunts, a sister. He's good.
Ruckus is the parental character
Yeah.
here, isn't he?
Yes,
Absolutely.
My characters are all sorts of ages.
They are.
Some might say all ages.
Yeah.
Like, name an age. Yep, that's Chris's character.
Yep, pretty much. So, somebody else have something they want to share?
Do you want all, like, the entire table right now? Or
I mean, if people have more like interesting things, like
I mean, it's not.
I'm noting this down like for my own
Okay,
use, like, as we're building this. Yeah.
They kind of roll together, but it's Sarah's who's Sarah's who that makes her hopeful is her hometown, because they keep going out on the ocean even though boats keep sinking. They never give up. And the love is her parents because they're like really supportive. Yeah, I mean like most parents.
You said they're also followers of Cord.
Yeah.
Do they know that she's fucked their god, and how supportive are they?
They were pretty stoked. They were pretty stoked the first time.
And then they saw how their relationship was, and they're less stoked now.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's got to be real rough. Because on one hand, like the stoked aspect, like I think it's like a celebrity, like oh man, they're dating.
Can Chris name a celebrity?
Can I? Leonardo DiCaprio. Like that's super cool, and Leonardo DiCaprio ends up like smearing mayonnaise on the mirrors, and they're like, Man, I
Yeah.
really want to be supportive of this. It's really cool. He's my favorite actor. But, like, I just can't support somebody who smears mayonnaise. I mean, you wouldn't, right? Right? No?
You know what I do to anything that's squishy. Like,
This is true.
I stick
Adam
my
would be
hand in
a
it
pretty
and
hair.
rub that mayonnaise.
Adam invited Leonardo DiCaprio to smear mayonnaise on the mirrors.
Or on me.
Oh my god.
That's, like, a lot of a different offer.
Yeah.
Like,
Those are different kinds.
Hey Leo, can you put mayonnaise on my mirror? I guess. What?
hey, Leo.
I gotta
can you
shoot
put-
something.
Can you
Like-
put mayonnaise on my body? Oh, of course.
That's so much less weird than a mirror.
Well, at least there's, like, clear intentions. Like, the mirror, it's like,
Yeah, but
is this your mirror?
Who
Yeah.
I'm wary of anyone who can ingest that much mayonnaise afterwards, or who like wants to like just let all of that
Do
sit.
you think that if you cover a person in mayonnaise,
You have
their
to-
partner is going to consume all of that mayonnaise?
No, but that's almost worse because the longer it sits, like the more
Oh.
oily and awful it gets. Like, I have a personal issue, like I have personal
You
beef
take
with
a
mayonnaise.
shower after.
Okay, have you ever tried to wash mayonnaise off of anything? It leaves that like oil on your skin forever.
How do you know that?
Because I've had to wash mayonnaise out of my hair.
Oh,
It's the worst.
okay.
And also I've had to wash butter off my hands. I have personal beef with mayonnaise, guys.
Who Ruckus fears? Who Ruckus fears is Crabbleshank, who is a little goblin who Ruckus befriended. But Crabbleshank was a revolutionary goblin. He wanted to rise up and like fight for goblin rights and help his goblin brethren live among the tall folk and stuff. Ruckus was most afraid of Crabbleshank because Crabbleshank lives such a dangerous life, and because Ruckus really cared for Crabbleshank as a friend, that Ruckus was always really afraid. The most afraid that Ruckus has ever been is when Crabbleshank would go out and try usurping corrupt leaders and doing things like fighting people who had attacked goblins, because Crabbleshank is a goblin who have 3 hit points. Ruckus was very afraid that Crabbleshank would eventually get in over his head and die, and obviously one day Crabbleshank got over in his head and he died. So but that was the most afraid that Ruckus has ever been, was for the life of Crabbleshank.
Oh, it was like
Wow.
fulfilled too.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Brutal.
Oh, Ruckus.
Yes.
Okay.
I lead with these funny names and then I getcha.
Stop.
Yeah, you really do.
Yep.
Do you have anything else about Ruckus?
Who drives Ruckus? Clowny the Fun Clown, who is never mind.
Okay, thank you.
I was no, yeah.
I watched your improv face right there.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows, clowns don't exist on Earth.
That's
Amazing.
cool. I'm down with that.
Like-
Yeah, that's
they-
so good.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Like, they cannot exist.
Yeah.
Every time someone comes up with the idea to be a clown, they are subsequently murdered by a secret government organization.
Or a god. What if there was just an anti-clown god?
That's like too much acknowledgement of clowns, though.
But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
No, everyone who thinks of the idea of becoming a clown coincidentally dies before realizing their dreams.
No, they just live on a farm.
No, thank you, sir. Farm towns don't want that.
So, anything else about any of the characters? Any little tidbits? Like, little things are just as valuable as the big things, because I need them.
I've got 5 more things. Been checking them off as I answer them. So, Hope and Love gonna kind of get similar again for August. Who gives August hope is his twin sister, Ariana. She is sort of the more socially dominant of the two of them. She's much more of an adventurous person, and she's always sort of been the problem solver and the one who's trying to get August to step out of his shell and do what he wants to do. And who he loves is Ariana and the rest of his family, because they are very simple, salt-of-the-earth people who love him very much and just want what's best for him, even if they're not always the most supportive of his book-learning career.
Okay. He comes from a hick family.
Yeah, they're good. They're real salt of the earth people. They're pretty supportive, but like they just don't get it.
I imagine they come from the area around the High College of Cape Astoris, because that's getting up towards like sort of tundra area. Like if you go like another, I guess it's still like another 100 miles north of it.
Yeah, like the farmlands.
Yeah,
near-ish.
those farmlands to support the college, because the college is a pretty big city. There's a college town around it. All right, and Ariana. I think you mentioned before Ariana is like a ranger.
Yeah, Ariana would be a ranger. Sort of very much grew up going out in the woods and helping the family, birth calves and all kinds of good farm stuff that August just didn't really have the stomach for.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
No, I haven't really pinned down who Sarah hates.
Okay. And then the wants and drives. The what want? What drives?
Huh?
What want?
What want? What drive? What fear?
The what want is to feel competent in her own ability. The what drive is to be better than you were yesterday. And the what fear is losing independence.
And for August, the what afraid of and what drive?
Yeah. So August is afraid of failure. He's afraid that his dream to be a wizard will fall apart at the seams.
Well, it's okay because
Fizzle, if you will.
Yeah.
it's okay in D&D. Everything is chance based, so there's a very low chance of failure.
And he's also afraid of hurting other people because that is the thing that he doesn't like. The who he is afraid of is his dad in a roundabout way, in that he is very afraid of worrying or disappointing his father.
His father's name?
His father's name is Jeremiah.
Oh.
And Jeremiah was the second oldest of several children. The oldest was Alexander, who died when he was 23, so right about where August is. And he died because he was being a hero and ran into a burning building to save some kids. And Jeremiah suddenly had to be the oldest and most responsible. And so he is very worried about his only son, who's trying to go off and be a hero. And he is very worried about losing his boy.
Oh, okay.
Throw one sad one in there for you. And then the what drive, who drive. I'm sorry, that's really fun. What drives him is the fact that his family and, his family's supportive, but they don't really know if he can make it as a big-time book-learning wizard. But the town he comes from definitely doesn't believe it, and he's definitely out to prove them wrong. And the who drive is his grandfather, who was kind of his mentor as a kid, and who always sort of encouraged him to follow his wizarding dreams.
What's his grandfather's name?
His grandfather's name. Give me a second, because it's on the other page. His grandfather's name is James Callister. His dad's last name is Partridge, like the rest of the family.
James Callister.
Yep.
All right.
Got names for everybody, man.
Everybody?
Except the unborn cousin. It's the only one I don't have a name for.
And for Ruckus.
Ruckus hate, how about? Because we haven't gotten to that.
Yeah.
And Ruckus, anyone who hurts their friends, Ruckus will try to kill you. But Ruckus is very also open to forgiveness very fast, too. Like, if you throw down your weapons and apologize and their friend is okay, then Ruckus is pretty quick to be like, well, okay, you guys join us then.
That's very like Skyrim, like, oh, you just committed a crime, put your weapons away, now we can talk about it, and you can pay me a few gold to get out of it.
But very unlike Skyrim, because enemies in Skyrim who try to attack you will pursue you to the end of the world, even if you beat them down to 1 HP. But main problem about this willingness to forgive is that it brings the who does Ruckus hate, and there was a satyr named Stubblebutt, and Stubblebutt had been playing pranks on a town, and as Ruckus, passed through, the town was like, hey, can you deal with this satyr that has been, attacking the town? And Ruckus went to stop him, But Stubblebutt and Ruckus actually began a sexual relationship, a cantankerous sexual relationship that was involving a lot of hate fucking, which was actually not something that, like, this was not a side of Ruckus that Ruckus liked, and it wasn't even one that Ruckus really acknowledged as really being a part of them, but because of that, that was one of the reasons that kind of, fed into this hate fucking, is because it was like, I don't like you for who you are, but there are like parts about you that I do recognize as like attractive, and like you could be this good person, but you're actively choosing not to. So like I want to, have sex with you because one, you're hot, and two, because you could be this good person. But I hate having sex with you because you aren't this good person, you're choosing not to be. And further, I hate it extra because you are like bringing out this side of me that I don't want to get brought out. Don't worry though, it doesn't end well for Stubblebutt. The village, because Stubblebutt was still pulling these pranks, even though he and Ruckus were having this relationship. Because of that, the village came in and just killed Stubblebutt themselves, or they hired different adventurers to do it. And when Stubblebutt died, Ruckus realized that Stubblebutt had been using Ruckus kind of like to protect him from the town, where he had been using Ruckus to like save himself, kind of thing. And so Ruckus further hates him because of how they were getting used by Ruckus. Yeah, sorry, they were getting used by Stubblebutt. Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
There is a lot. But they still do love Ruckus or Stubblebutt in a way that's like in a fond kind of memory way. I hate who you were.
Maybe
and
a little bit
who
like
you
a
made me.
rose-tinted glasses, like
A little bit.
Like things were so like I understood things then. Like
More like I'm glad you're dead because you were bad for me. But I think back onto who you could be, and I may as well remember you that way because it doesn't make a difference.
Wow.
Like I may as well think good of you because
That's very
doesn't
mature of you,
matter.
Ruckus.
Huh? It's been a while. It's been like a decade or two at least. So like yeah.
Yeah, Ruckus is not having a coming of age story. Ruckus knows exactly who they are.
Ruckus is old. Ruckus is, furbolgs lived to like 300 years or so. So Ruckus has been here for, at least 50 years. Even maybe Ruckus doesn't look 50.
I really like that all of Ruckus's things are like, the people involved are dead and gone. Like, everything has already happened.
Yeah. All of the Who's are going to be dead people. Except for my brother, who is unknown whether they're alive or not.
I was picking up on that. Anything else?
Um,
Still a few more open slots here.
Oh yeah, what's open for Ruckus?
What you want?
I don't have actually a what or a who for what I want yet. And
Okay.
I'm not sure where Ruckus is going to go with that.
All right. Then the what drives? And who drives?
The what drives is to protect the friends.
Okay.
And to gather new friends, especially outcasted people who aren't liked very much by other people. They especially drive Ruckus to befriend and protect them. I haven't found a who for them yet, but just imagine that I come up with some cutesy, funny name, and they die in some way, and it drives Ruckus to gather more friends of the same type.
Okay. And what gives Ruckus hope?
To be surrounded by friends who make up for their lack of family, and one day they hope that maybe they could live in like kind of like a commune, like a farm with just all their gathered friends.
That sounds like something that like I thought in like middle school.
Oh
What
yeah,
are you doing?
that is a nice hope. Like, yeah, just live with your friends, just living off the lands.
What a great commune.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a lot of stuff about people's characters and backgrounds. I think we have a pretty good idea of who these characters are. So I want to move on to the next part of this, which is like what brought you all together. We're gonna figure out how Sirad, Ulises' character, also fits into this. But like, what brought you all together? Why? I mean, you guys can decide whether you want to decide why you're going into the dungeon first, or what brought you together to be a party of people entering this dungeon together.
I believe that I mean, it's a dungeon. There's like magic stuff in there, so I think I'm trying to get that loot. Specifically, magic cloths and like needles and stuff. Yeah, but Jordan hesitates to say that I'm after like a specific bolt of cloth, just because I don't know. Like I know that you're not gonna like give that as the first quest, but like that's a dumb trepidation. Yeah, no, Sarah doesn't know about like specific cloths that are in there. She just knows that people get fancy cloth out of it. So she's like, I'm gonna get some of that.
Okay. And so I guess the next question from this this dungeon is known to be a dangerous place. So what about Sarah makes her confident enough that she'll be able to get in here, get this magic cloth, some sort of loot, and get back out?
Wrestling. Yeah, just by virtue of growing up in a town that worships Cord, you tend to like get kind of aggressive folk.
Okay.
And it's not like she doesn't have like traditional combat training or anything. But like bar fights and stuff.
Like she's the kind of person who never loses the bar fight sort of thing, or
Yeah. I think it's more she knows how to take a punch.
okay.
So it's like I'm gonna go in there, find this cloth. I'm gonna have to like run from some goblins and probably kill a couple. But like they're goblins, I could probably handle that, and like I don't know, I get shot with an arrow, like I can heal that. Like I know how to do medicine.
There is a very I feel like characters in a D&D world have a very interesting relationship with healing, because there's lots of healing magics and stuff out there, but also you're just better the next day regardless. So yeah, I think okay. So what about August? What's August after?
August is after knowledge and knowledge of magic and magical items, but also definitely looking for life experience, since he focused his whole sort of early life on becoming an academic and then found out that maybe he didn't want to be an academic like everybody else was. He's trying to take a page out of Ariana's book and try to do some adventuring to learn some life skills.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to say that August doesn't know what he wants to do, but like there's a little bit of I feel like
Just to
there's
change majors,
Yeah.
try out some different things and see what works for him.
you leave college and you just sort of say, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to go to this club meeting and then get a job at this place because I know they exist. Maybe you aren't totally sure of what you can do with I don't know,
a degree in magic.
Yeah.
Speaking of magic majors, what school are you going to specialize in?
Eventually, it will be transmutation. Early on, there are basically no good transmutation spells, but basically the goal is eventually transmutation, because it sort of falls into that same kind of category as artificery of linking things together and turning things into other things and sort of moving energy.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Early on, he's got a lot of evocation.
And what makes him confident enough that he'll be able to handle this?
He's not the strongest and hardiest boy, but he grew up around very strong and hardy people, and he figures that if he could make it decently growing up in his town and could make it decently in academia, especially coming from he's not trusting his body as much as he's trusting his brain, that if he could grow up in a real hick farm town and still go up and go toe-to-toe with kids like Immorel who grew up with private tutors and stuff, then he definitely trusts his own wits to be able to get him out of things.
So what is Ruckus looking for in the Mega Dungeons?
So I don't think Ruckus is really looking for anything specific in the Mega Dungeon. Ruckus cares more about the people that they've met before they got to the Mega Dungeon. So on the way to the Mega Dungeon town, which does still need a name, Ruckus meets August and quickly befriends them because August's a curious boy, right?
He's a very curious
Yeah,
boy.
and Ruckus, probably
Gets
likes
himself into trouble.
Ruckus likes to talk and answer questions and has quite a history. So, and then in town, Ruckus meets Sarah at a bar, because, Ruckus is thirsty. And so Ruckus has befriended these two people before. And both of them mention that they're going to the Mega Dungeon, and Ruckus is like, wait a second, I know someone else who's going to the Mega Dungeon. It's August, and it's Sarah. And so Ruckus introduces the two of them, and will join them on their quest to go to the Mega Dungeon, just to keep them safe, because they look like people who have a high chance of dying.
So Ruckus is throughout all this like I feel like that's pretty. I guess if furbolgs don't really have a concept of age, like I would be like scared to do that because like maybe going into the dungeon would take like a month or something, and I'd be afraid to like meet new people and be like, okay, I'm gonna go spend a month with you. But like maybe there's like less of a concept of age. Like Ruckus is more like I'm okay. Like I'm just gonna go do this now. Like this is gonna be the next part of my life.
It may also kind of go in with what Ruckus has under wants, which is nothing. Because I think, right now I'm still kind of struggling with what Ruckus wants to do and where Ruckus is. And even though Ruckus has a good concept of who they are, I don't think they have a good concept of who they want to be and what they want to do going forward. Because pretty much all of Ruckus's life is just kind of mini-sodes of, visiting an area, befriending someone there, that person dies, they move on. So I think this is just another mini-sode in Ruckus's life of, met two cool people, cool, I'm going to befriend them. They're probably going to die, despite everything I try, and then I'm going to move on to a different place. So
Everybody poops and all my friends die.
Okay, yeah.
So positively bleak.
All right, so yeah, you're just kind of there to keep your friends safe, then.
Yeah, my new friends.
Just make friends with people who look like they're probably gonna die, and then try to stop that from happening for a while.
Yeah.
And why does Ruckus think why is Ruckus confident they can survive the dungeon?
Ruckus has been through a lot, and I think just kind of through personal experience, Ruckus is a barbarian, so they have 14 hit points, which is more than triple most NPCs. So what could kill a normal person? It would take 3 times that to kill a level 1 barbarian. So I think Ruckus is pretty confident in their sturdiness. And I think Ruckus has gotten scraps before. Ruckus has what?
That's
What's
so
Maddy?
many hit points!
I know, 14 whole.
How do you get 14 hit points?
If you're a barbarian, you start with a D12, 12 hit
God,
points.
it is a 12.
Yep, and then
Fuck.
plus 2 con, so that's 14. It's not a lot when you're level 5.
Your
but,
boy
level 1,
has 6!
Yep, that's the thing. Yeah, that's why I know I can survive. A decapitation event in an August world would be it hurt, but I'm gonna be fine in Ruckus world.
12 hit points of damage on August would one
yeah.
kill.
Him.
And that would hurt me. I would not be happy about it, but I'd be able to get away.
If you're raging, it would be even less. You could take 3 of those hits if you were
Oh
raging.
yeah, good point.
God.
Yeah, because that'd be halved. Yeah.
Ooh.
So
That's
so
the
yeah,
opposite of
Ruckus is pretty
situation.
confident, and also what Ruckus isn't confident about is that they can protect their friends, but they want to try their best because their friends are going to go in there anyway, so they should
Sarah
do
seems
what
a
they
lot
can.
less likely to die than August.
Yeah.
So what brings everybody together to face the dungeon as a party? Because as I kind of was saying before, there's an organization that helps people party up. It's not like you have to you're not employees of this organization, but they're a bit more formalized bar basically, where they say oh, you're single healer looking for a party, OFG.
I think that's how we should
so
meet Ulises' character.
Yeah.
I think that's how we're going to meet him.
disenfranchised chef looking for strong
chef.
companions.
I will ping all my ascended gear when I enter the party.
And if you guys don't want him at first because he is just this odd chef,
I mean, we don't know.
I want to
Yeah,
know how he's going to
good
play
point.
him
Well,
first.
we do know.
I do know
Okay,
a
we do
little
know
of
a
how
little how
Ulises
Ulysses
plays
will
his
play.
characters. But this is a time that I'm playing a character where it would be very difficult for me to find anyone antagonistic to me. So
Yeah, it's a good point.
So so maybe you all decide for whatever reason that 3 people is not enough.
Yeah.
Which I think is perfectly reasonable. I think 4 people is a pretty good party size. So what brings you though to show up there and say, okay, group of 3, or maybe you show up individually and you all meet through that organization, or
I think
I'll get everyone together.
Because Ruckus is pretty fun to hang out with.
I would imagine so.
So, because bringing us together, Ruckus was like, "Hello, August. I don't know your name yet. Hello, child.
Yeah.
You need some help. Let's hang out." And then later, Ruckus bumped into Sarah and was like,
Let me teach you a new drinking game! What are you doing here? That was a test to see what Ruckus's voice could be like. We'll see.
We'll workshop.
figure it out.
We'll workshop it.
But yeah, and then it's like, and then Sarah, presumably August, was like, "Well, Ruckus is cool, so this new person's probably cool."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think August is definitely down to pair up with Ruckus because Ruckus is the strongest thing he has ever encountered. And is probably kind of scared of Sarah because she sounds a little intimidating, but like in a way
She
that
does
she
sound a little
probably
intimidating.
reminds him of Ariana, and that like he's down to be friends.
Yeah. And then so we go to the clubhouse.
The bulletin board.
Yeah. I hope they're like tips, like common dungeon tips on here, like
Oh my
like
god.
I'll never go out in a party less than 4 or something like that.
Never
or, like,
split your party.
Yeah, never split your party.
Press the spacebar to end your turn.
Press A to jump.
Press A to jump.
Yeah.
Sadly,
like
yes.
fighting.
No, sadly, yes. There are games like that.
That is
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to every
Hard.
game I've ever played, you weird gamer people.
any game where you can jump, it
Well,
should
you're
be
just
up.
mixing control schemes.
Like-
Oh wait, are you talking about controllers?
Yes.
I thought you were
Of
talking
course
about
she is.
keyboard.
Of course
Yeah,
I
I
am.
was like,
I don't play
WASD.
games with a keyboard. I don't play games with a keyboard.
Okay, A to jump on a controller makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is why this organization exists. I think that they are, probably the same organization that is offering these like adventuring, like life insurance, and
Yeah.
they offer like
Insurance.
kits of like common adventuring gear because there's so many people who sign up for this and are like, okay, I got a sword and a backpack, I'm good, and they're like, hold on, you need rope and a bedroll.
They
and
sell
rations.
so much rope.
Oh my
They
god.
have a wall just full of rope.
The walls
because
is made of rope.
it could, yeah.
And you just
Yeah.
unspool some. And kind of
Very quickly about insurance. I think they also sell like loot insurance
Ooh.
Good idea.
of like you go in. I don't know the exact mechanics of it, but I imagine it's something along the lines of like you go into the dungeon, you come out, we get like 20% of whatever you find. If you don't find anything though, you get 50 gold or something.
Yeah, like a kind of. Yeah, I think they definitely want that. Also, they would buy magic items from you because a lot of times, you go into the dungeon, you get that +1 sword of decapitation. You leave the dungeon to go back to your farm, and that sword is now like useless.
Yeah.
And
Becomes
so,
a
Plus one
family
scythe of
heirloom.
reaping.
Yeah.
so you sell it to them because there are other, they can do more with it. They'll pay you something, but like of course other magic, like if you come out with something more useful or maybe like something super legendary, you don't need to. But yeah, like.
Does that mean that there's a pretty decent industry of like minor magic items that you can buy for horribly inflated prices?
Yes, absolutely. Like that's part of all the preparation. They say
Yeah.
there are among the tips. There are also things like never leave town without a potion of bark skin and 3 healing potions,
Yeah.
and that runs you like 300 golds
Yeah.
Yeah.
altogether.
They buy that +1 sword of decapitation off you for 50 gold and then sell it to the next dude who walks into town for 1,000.
Yeah.
What about safety deposit boxes?
Only sell your loot at a certified pre-owned dealership.
Safety deposit box. That's another great one.
Lockers.
Like
Yeah, lockers for your regular stuff. And also just for stuff that, you don't want to lose in the dungeon.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or if you
like,
die, you want your family to have.
It was a fun boomtown.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that is totally what it is. It is a boomtown. Like the last time this door showed up, 300 years ago, however long it was, like a boomtown existed there that is now like a ghost town.
Yeah.
A few buildings that are now totally abandoned. There are the town's full of like all these like great little things. Of, it's the perfect place for vendors of weird things that might actually work, like Dreamcatcher kind of stuff, to protect you from this dungeon that could have anything in it, and also plenty of those like, oh, might be your last time alive, like come drink this like super fancy elven wine. That's actually like pretty okay elven wine.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Woo!
Yeah,
Well, and definitely the fact that, like, in gold rush towns and stuff, like, the people who made the most money were absolutely the dudes selling shovels and not the dudes
Yep.
panning for gold.
it is. it's that weird feeling of like it feels like a tourist trap because you know everything is ripping you off, but there's a much better sense of kind of like party.
Disneyland for Murderville.
And I think another important reason why people sign up with this company, which we need a name for this company that is like in charge of so much of this stuff.
Venture Enterprise.
Venture Enterprises.
Gilgamesh's baby.
I mean, honestly,
What if?
this is like
He heard about the old door because that would have been 200 years before, and then Gilgamesh sets up. No, not Gilgamesh. The fucking tax evading kid that he hired, like Jeff or whatever his name was. Jeff's like descendants set this thing up.
I don't even get all the inside jokes right here.
I
I know Venture Enterprises is the old adventuring company
Our old adventuring party.
run by Gilgamesh, who is our friend Nails' old character.
Yeah, it was the name for the players' like organization during our first campaign.
Yeah.
I
I don't know who.
Gilgamesh was all about money, and when I joined that party, when we went back into the city of Rajik, it turned out that the guy Gilgamesh had hired to do our taxes,
Yeah, like business
was
stuff.
absolutely like committing all kinds of tax fraud and embezzling from us and everything. And we sent him to prison and got a new intern to do our taxes, who I guess did better. But like, I definitely imagine the skeevy family of our embezzling tax evader being the one to set up this new
it was
insurance company.
in that campaign. It was definitely that arc of, oh wow, we run a company, like we're running a company, and then you get to the point of we're doing things that are too important to care about such earthly things as companies
and taxes.
Yes, and
and
so
laws.
sort of abandoning that and never talking about it again. Though Gilgamesh should probably go back to that.
I mean, he took so much money. He like never paid us, and definitely ended up with like a lot of money by the end of that campaign.
So do we want this to be Venture Enterprises?
I don't know if I want it to be Venture Enterprises, but I do want it to be like the real skeevy tax dude.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep that canon. Let's not make
Venture Enterprises.
Venture
Like
Enterprises.
the very clear ripoff of Venture Enterprises.
Did I think something else that's this
REI.
REI
REI.
Regional.
Explorers.
Incorporated?
Okay, but like, what if we get sued by REI, the real company?
Parody law.
Like, genuinely.
You know
Yeah.
what? Then I will get to have direct contact with the CEO of REI, which is more than I ever thought would happen with my life. So
I'm your biggest fan. I knew that you existed, but I didn't know who you were.
Arnold Burnshaw, the CEO of REI.
That
Look it up.
sounded
Look it
so
up. It's
official.
true. Look it up.
I'm looking it up.
It's absolutely not true.
Yeah, and there's the shrug, letting us know that it's probably not true.
There is a potential for it to be true.
His name is Jerry Straitsky.
Ew. That's an awful name. Sorry, Jerry.
Now we're definitely getting sued by REI.
You can sue for calling someone's name awful.
And bit done.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we calling this company?
We can call it. I kind of like there's an actual real company called like Blank Trading Co. Right? Is it like a
The East India?
The East
East
India
India-
Trading Company.
I was thinking like I thought it was like a clothing brand. Duluth. Maybe.
This is
Maybe
what
not.
Jordan is right, and we say maybe that's the right. You're saying
I
that
don't think
so
that's not what I'm
confidently.
thinking of.
Duluth makes jeans.
Nah, that's not a made up though.
Okay, lots of companies are made by like somebody's name.
Yeah. We could tie this back. Yeah.
Jeff's
we could tie this back
Descendants
to,
Incorporated.
to one of our characters if we want to do a cool little callback. We
It's not under
could
insurance.
Oh my gosh, maybe this is.
make it like a.
Oh, maybe
a
somebody from
genre
like
joke.
not Venture, but from Nexus ended up coming here.
No,
Oh,
Nexus,
absolutely
no.
no,
not.
Nexus was destroyed. Like
We
Nexus,
hate Nexus. But Nexus. Okay, Nexus was a literal.
You hate
pyramid
Nexus.
scheme. I hate Nexus, and you should too.
Was it?
The new book I'm publishing on pyramid schemes in fantasy universes.
literally pyramids. So maybe it was like who's in charge of
Who was big and shitty in Nexus?
Duke?
Duke.
Ugh.
Oh
That's
my
the only
gosh.
name I remember.
Is
Yeah.
this company
Yes.
just called Dukes?
Ooh,
Because I feel like that is,
that's a fun name.
and also a little bit terrible.
Yeah, a little bit
Look
terrible.
like something dungeoneering company. Like I feel like the
Dukes
like
Dungeoneering.
I feel like dungeoneering should kind of be in it because dungeoneering is a nice word that never gets used.
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
in-universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Duke's Dungeoneering.
May or may not be
Duke's
related
Dungeoneering
to
DDC.
from
Yeah.
Ulises.
All right. So the name of the company that is running all of these things we've been talking about, all of the insurance and the like the billboard to get people together, hunting tips and everything, are the Duke's Dungeoneering Company. So they also are they provide everybody with the dog tags. They provide people with the like gathering hub to like draw everybody together. The payment that you give them is of course like you're in their bar, and then they have like the magic items and all these other things that they'll like sell back to you and like sell you to prepare. And for I want to hit that line of like it's good. Like it's good that these people are here to provide like healing potions, but it is just like a little bit sketchy. It's not like in your best interest.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And it's not like if you go in, it's not like they don't own the mega dungeon. You don't have to pay them anything. But like
No.
if you want to get insurance, they'll be like, okay,
Yeah,
pay us 10%. You're like, okay, cool.
they're the ones who you get insurance through, and it's like, oh shoot, I need another healing potion before I go in. All the stores are owned by them.
Yeah.
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 Duke's
So
engineering code.
so it's not all the stores. Like I feel like they own most of the stores because they are prepared for when this sort of thing happens and when
Buy
like,
them
other
out.
dungeons, and they like show up and like will build buildings like in like all the prime spots sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And there are probably some behind the scenes politics that we won't really get into.
But there's the people like on the outskirts of town who just set up their tent, and it's like,
Yeah, even like in the middle of town, like there's like a market of people like with their stalls selling whatever. Yeah, definitely like the people panning for gold did not make nearly as much money as the people selling shovels. People just like show up there and realize like, oh wait, these people, everybody in this town needs food. There are people who show up with their significant other or family member who goes into the dungeon who has to wait here.
Yeah.
And so they wait there in the town. So you all are meeting up through Duke's Dungeoneering Company, and you're going to get your own seashell hard to lose dog tags before you head in. And of course, we're going to talk about that more during our first session. There's something I want to establish to everyone right now ahead of time, just so everybody can sort of think about this, is the way that going into and leaving the dungeon works. You all are going to enter together as a party, and the cost of leaving the dungeon together is going to be 1 gold from each party member.
who was asking for that gold?
The dungeon.
Oh,
So the
Okay.
door won't open unless
Spooky.
you pay that. However, each subsequent time that you leave the dungeon, the cost is multiplied by 10.
whoa.
So the first time, it costs your group 4 gold to leave. The second time, it costs your group 40 gold to leave. The next time, it costs your group 400 gold to leave.
Holy shit.
Um,
So we should just go in and never leave, but like,
Or just go
Yeah,
in,
it's difficult.
get a ton of money early on, and then go searching for fun stuff.
So that's something that I want everybody to think about, because I think that that's information that you all would have heard from around town.
yeah,
And get to
it's on the notice board.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, and it is like a per person thing. Like if you were to leave somebody behind, then it's only 3 times.
Yeah.
It's only 300 gold instead of 400 gold.
By Sirad.
He's not here to defend himself.
So I chose him.
Ruckus can't.
So,
No, yeah.
so everybody's meeting each other through through Ruckus basically.
Ruckus
and
Ruckus
Duke's
is the
Engineering
board.
Company. I guess the last prepared question I have is what is the name of the dungeon? What's the name? What do people call it?
Steve.
Does it happen?
Wait, I like the name.
I'm gonna get
of it.
real deep in Steve.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm imitating a thing that I saw that Canadians did, who imitated it from over the hedge. So you find a thing, you don't know what it is, you call it Steve.
Boy, that is a chain. Does that happen?
I like the name Mega Dungeon. I think it's a cool, like, whimsical sounding name because it feels like a department store called Mega Dungeon where you go to, buy dungeoneering stuff, which is kind of what DDC is. But yeah, I like how it's like Mega Dungeon. Like you can see it in big bold block letters over like Mega Dungeon over like a logo, which is the door. You can see it over the door, which is cracked open a little bit and light is shining out. And then underneath it says featuring and all our characters.
This is the commercial, yes.
Okay, so Mega Dungeon.
Yeah.
What's the tagline?
I just thought it was like Mega Dungeon and then our names underneath.
Okay, the tagline will be TBD.
Mega Dungeon. TBD.
No, that's not. For now it says Mega Dungeon as a whole door open with the characters and the door opens and everything goes dark and the light and you go through it.
Are there enchanted posters that you can make look like a commercial? Because I assume there's not TV, but like a poster that goes Mega Dungeon. Has the thing. No. The door opens and it's light.
Yes, I don't think we really mentioned this, but Earth's setting is super modern.
High magic.
Yeah, like high magic. Well, it's high magic because there is too much magic in the environment, and it is dangerous how much magic there is just in the world in general. But yeah, there are definitely enchanted posters. There's guns in Rajik. That's just a thing.
There's guns in the Western continent too.
Yeah, sorry, I mean on
There's
Earth.
Guns everywhere.
Yeah, definitely animated posters and all that sort of stuff. Advertising Mega Dungeon with a little DDC logo.
Not quite diesel punk, but we're getting there.
It's Jordan's eventual goal with the more characters he plays in this universe.
All right, Mega Dungeon.
I like Mega Dungeon.
I can do a little bit about logistics of the game. We're going to be exploring a Mega Dungeon. If you can't tell by the payment model of leaving, the intention is that we spend the vast majority of the time in the dungeon. Not so much in the town. In town should be momentary breaks. I take a lot of inspiration from Metroidvanias and games like Dark Souls and Hollow Knight to how this is being built. So it's going to be this big interconnected web of characters and places and creatures and everything. That should be lots of fun to explore. We're going to be pretty. We're going to lean into the rules. I feel like it's something you don't see super often. We're going to lean into the rules and use the rules to help tell the story and face the players with challenges. And some things I feel like mapping the dungeon is probably going to be pretty important in terms of following along. Not so much in terms of miniatures on a map playing there, but just general, the castle is under the avalanche. That was a great example. But that sort of thing, so you have a good understanding.
Hey everyone, this is Jordan. So when we recorded this session, we forgot to do an outro because this is our first time doing it. So instead, enjoy a conversation we had about the origins of the word bear. We will talk at you next time.
Where do you think the word bear came from?
Yeah.
It comes from the German word meaning the brown one, because actually, this is really interesting. Germans had a word for bears, but they thought that if you said it, it would summon bears to you. They thought bears were these super powerful nature monsters, and if you said the word bear, or if you said whatever the real word for bears would come for you. So they created a euphemism, the brown ones, and that became the word bear that we know now, which makes me really hope that there is this deep slumbering bear god that if we find the real name for it will come and kill us.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And there are so many old cultures that you don't tell a thing your name because then you can summon it and stuff like that.
You can control it.
Isn't that part of the origin of middle names in Europeans? Is that okay? Because I've definitely seen a thing that says that, but I don't have any sources on it.
I'm pretty sure middle names were just a way to pass down ancestor names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea, though, of having a secret name, so if somebody knows just your first and last name, they can't do magic on you, because they don't know your secret name.
That bear thing is so cool.
It's so good. Do not say the real word bear, because you will fucking summon bears!
Yeah.
That's so Chris, we're talking about summoning bears.
I mean, that had to happen to someone at least twice.
And for there to be enough of a correlation of yo,
John said bear the other day, and then a bear showed up that night.
And then that person got attacked. And I was like, well, that's all.
Yeah.
We need
That
to
was-
stop
yeah.
saying this word.
You can't, like, it wasn't in a vacuum, like, this is the name for this animal, but we don't say it because it summons them. You can't just, like, declare that. That had to happen to someone.
Yeah.
It's that, or adults started using bear as a swear, and then you had to tell kids, like, don't say bear, because then bears will show up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's less fun. I want magic bears.
Yeah.
Magic bears are great.